Welcome back to Daybreak. It never took a break anyway.
It did it.
There are a lot of things that have been said by these political leaders. I wish they could say them on air.
And we hope that is off the cuff.
Of course, they are not recorded. But I just wish you could be honest and speak to Kenyans what you truly feel.
Speaking of being honest and what we truly feel, could we go to this story?
Yes.
On page 6 of the Standard newspaper. Yes. MPs now want to live in hotels despite the 20 million Kenyan shillings to buy homes.
So it's you'll see the splash on front page of the Standard. MPs plot for life in 5-star hotels. That it's a sweet deal which each MP currently enjoys 20 million mortgage for a city home, but they now want the taxpayer to pay them more to live in hotels while in Nairobi, the seat of parliament. What lawmakers want implemented, according to the Standard, accommodation allowance to keep them comfortable in the city, setting up of a gymnasium to keep away the potbellies, vetting of cooks to ensure MPs eat 5-star meals, a gift shop to spend their hefty packs purchasing presents, employment of a public health specialist in parliament.
That's not even all. 5 million car grant is what they also enjoy. This is in terms of the goodies that they are currently getting. 5 million in terms of car grant, 7 million car loan, a tax-free pension, as well as 256,000 car maintenance allowance, and 10 million impeachment cover. It must be good to be a politician in Kenya.
Impeachment cover?
No,
inpatient cover.
Inpatient cover. Okay, so looking at that, I don't know, what are your first responses? Is this true that you guys want all these benefits that you're not currently enjoying?
I think, let me go first. Let me go first, because I'm a bit annoyed by the Standard Group trying to sell newspapers. They need to share with us how much they make out of this headlines. It's not fair. Let me break it down to you.
Views.
Yeah, yes, no. Yes. Number one, accommodation allowance to keep them comfortable in the city. No. When you are, there are two allowances. There is a house allowance. Every worker in this country, or majority in government, have a house allowance, including the police.
Do not have.
MPs don't have. Why? MPs don't have. Why? Why the double standard? When you go to Malindi or Kisumu or wherever else, you get per diem for your accommodation.
Yes.
As we're even paid for by the hotel. We don't get that money. The other civil servants, public servants, they actually get the actual money. When it comes to the mortgage, there is this misconception that the mortgage is like you're given 20 million, and then mortgage is a mortgage. It is deducted from your salary. Yes, I can tell you, for me, I've been paying over 430,000 for that 20 million. So from the so-called 1 million or whatever we receive, most MPs have less than 100,000 they take home. When it comes to inpatient, surely, are you saying that when members of parliament, and it's not him alone or her alone, it's the whole family, that they should not have medical cover? It's not money you are given 10 million, take it like this.
These are the questions also Kenyans want to ask.
Let me just explain. The 5 million, every government official in this country is given a car to run around with. Members of parliament said, if you are to buy a car worth 20 million, every 5 years, it will be a lot of waste of time. Give us 5 million, we top up from our own, we buy a Mtumba vehicle, and then after that you can keep the vehicle. We are not the only ones who receive car grant. Even PSS and CSS receive. Nobody talks about it. You can't talk about a car loan, because by the time you have been deducted the mortgage, even to take the car loan is not enough, because the pay slip cannot support. You are even just doing the circle. Coming to the issue of gymnasium. What is wrong with having a gym? We already have one. It's just noble to just have a gym facility. The food in parliament is so terrible, let me tell you, because it is cooked en masse. There is no quality. Ni kama ile mashakura hiyo. So what the committee is saying, let us have quality because of the number. You see, the moment we increased parliament from 210 to 420 because of Senate, quality went down. It's nothing to talk about. If you talk about let me finish. When you talk about a gift shop, people come to parliament, they want paraphernalia. The other day I was at Kenyatta University, and there is a shop for the alumni. It's about those gift shops. It's not about pampering yourself. What is about public health specialists in parliament with all the contamination? If you go to Continental House today, even the air circulation is a problem. The gym is at the basement. That is causing health problems. That is a question of looking at how do we have a proper parliament that also meets the health standards. So let us not politicize issues Senator just Mwaura. Because we are members of parliament.
Senator Mwaura, you've made a case why you need these things, but I'm just struggling with the fact that currently you're members of parliament, you're executing your duties in the best way that you can. On the other side, we have Kenyans who also in employment. They do not enjoy these benefits you're talking about. So can't we as a country focus on what's more important beyond the personal needs that you may want to have?
I think I would want to say this with all due respect to the Standard Group. Of course, they have sold a lot today. They must be doing good profits. What I want to say, when you talk about a loan, even you guys, when you take a salary, you can take a loan, something like mortgage, so all of us pay. It is a loan. It is not free money.
That mortgage
all of
allowance,
I mean, it's not mortgage, it is a loan. It is just a loan. All of us, as Mwaura said,
what is the interest rate?
Of course, that is another issue altogether. But because it is just like any institution.
3%, and it's not only for members of parliament.
Yes, it's not only for members
even
of parliament.
the other public servants gets 3%.
Get 3%.
Yeah, so we are being profiled.
Yes. No, and then the issue of this is a loan, and Kenyans should be told the truth. All of us, even if you look at my payslip, we pay a lot of money to offset this loan within the next 5 years, and you should pay within 5 years because, of course, our work depends on that 5 years. Secondly, on the issue of vetting of cooks, you could not want to have MPs who have running stomachs. There are people who are sick, diabetic. There are people who are diabetic. Wow. There are people who are sickly. There are people who do not eat specific food. Others do not want boiled food. Wow. Is that a big problem? Because even within an organization, those are just welfare issues. The issue of public health specialists. You need somebody who can take care of members of parliament so that they can discharge their duty. They sit in plenary, they go to committee work, and many others. The issue of setting up a gym, I think it is to ensure that all of us are kept fit.
There's no problem with that, Senator.
The issue, and then finally, you know, many Kenyans, and you know, as a lawyer, I have to say this. It is discriminatory not for the members of parliament not to have a house allowance. Because every civil servant, every state officer is entitled to a house allowance.
All right,
but when you look at members of parliament, they cannot or they do not access house allowance.
Gentlemen,
and you know that is illegal. Even if somebody moves to court and challenge, he can get a court order that the members of parliament be given house allowance. These are just basic things that every public servant or any state officer enjoys. It is just simple as that.
Let's take a step back here. And Senator, I want to directly give this question to you. You seem so passionate when you are breaking down whatever is in the newspaper. So all these things you're calling for, and the fact that Parliament, they serve machakura, the gym is not well ventilated, all these things, don't you not think it's a bit selfish, the fact that we're pushing for this, yet even the common mwananchi doesn't have affordable housing, doesn't have affordable healthcare. Instead of pushing for this, shouldn't you not be pushing for affordable healthcare and affordable housing, so that tomorrow, even when you don't grant for, if you fail to miss that seat in parliament, you're still okay as a Kenyan citizen, and that tomorrow even Mama Mboga is still fine? Shouldn't that not be the bigger goal here?
Thank you. Thank you, Nzizi. First and foremost, all of these things actually exist. That's why we say there is no story here.
Yes.
There is nothing new, apart from the house allowance, and it's called accommodation. There is nothing that is new. We have a gym, we have cooks, just that the numbers may be few, or their speciality. We give people memorabilia when they come to parliament, just that it's not properly organized. And that's also selling the symbols of the country, you know, to people who come and all. You see people exchanging gifts when they come. It's a parliamentary tradition. And we actually, you know, people are, so it's nothing new. It's just that it is being, what do you call it? It's being sensationalized, because then maybe the committee that's in charge of the members' welfare just wants quality work. So if you look at quality services, if you look at the Big Four agenda, what is it all about, my dear sister? It's about universal health care, affordable housing, jobs for youth through manufacturing, and people getting enough food. So we are not trying to say we are not doing it. In fact, I sit in the Finance and Budget Committee of the Senate as a vice chair, and these are the things we are looking to see, that the medium-term plan and the current division of revenue bill, most of these monies are speaking to this effect. You will see that, and we have a lot of conversations, because every time we meet, we want the best interest of common mwananchi. But it is hypocrisy to say that we should be championing for the rights of Kenyans, and we ourselves, we should not ask for anything simply because we are members of parliament.
But the money that are supposed to be for their development is being stolen.
No, let me say the truth. If you look at even the amount of money that goes to Parliament, it's not even 1% of the budget.
Yes.
Let's not try to profile members of Parliament because they are easy prey. Yeah. They are the ones in the public gallery, and they are more visible. We are here, the three of us. Let us call a spade a spade. You cannot have a situation where everything that a member of Parliament asks is wrong. And you think that you can make a legacy like Sarah Serem and others who have since followed, that the only way they can make a career is by bashing members of Parliament. Enough is enough.
That's fine, Senator. Of course, we have that narrative that Parliament controls less than 2% of the budget.
One, actually.
One,
actually.
It's still less than 2. So, Mheshimiwa Oluoch, there's this case that has been made for house allowance despite enjoying a mortgage allowance. And Kenyans, when they interpret this, they look at their own situation that they are going through. You look at the images on the dailies since last week of hunger, and people are wondering where are our priorities? Where is the conscience of the Member of Parliament? What is your response in that?
First of all, let me put it this way, as a person who is a human rights lawyer, is that you do not provide for rights of certain categories of people, or deprived people, or underprivileged people, by taking away other rights, right? So let's begin from there. What the conversation should be is that how do we ensure that other than those who have food and those of us who are able to afford to have housing and to have other things, in addition to that, how do we make sure that we have everybody in this bracket? You will not make yourself taller by trying to step on me or making me feel shorter. So in other words, let's not pretend to look for a target, a soft target on members of Parliament on account of Kenyans are suffering, Kenyans don't have food.
But that's not the reality.
That's the right-centric approach of our constitution is to ensure that all Kenyans, not except members of Parliament. So let's make efforts to cover all Kenyans to have affordable housing, but not saying let's take away the ones for members of Parliament so that we can provide for the other categories. Number two, the issue about house allowance is really about how we treat all state officers. And we must make a choice as a nation. Either all state officers have a house allowance or all don't have it. You look at the constitution, and I will challenge you next time we come here if you do your research. Tell me one category of public servants or state officers who do not have a house allowance. The PSs have it, the civil servants have it, even the CSs who are not in the constitution anywhere, they have it. Except members of Parliament. House allowance is a basic right for every person. And if it isn't, let everybody lose it. Let me go then to the distinction between house allowance and a mortgage. A mortgage is something that you're employed by citizen. You can go to a bank, even you now, in addition to your house allowance, there is that item in your payslip called house allowance. It is not replaceable or interchangeable with a mortgage. A mortgage is a loan. If now you wanted to buy 10 pairs of shoes or dresses, and the company is able to negotiate collectively for you, they go, and the whole thing about this is about what you call collective bargaining, for economies of scale. So Parliament has gone and said, we have members of Parliament. Isn't it? We want to negotiate just like banks do for their bankers. We want you to give us 3% as opposed to 5%. It is the same thing. I could go to the bank without that negotiated percentage, and I am still entitled to a mortgage. That mortgage is deductible from my salary, as opposed to a house allowance, which is an entitlement. It is not deductible elsewhere. It is an entitlement just like all other state officers. I earn myself, and this is my last point, 540,000 Kenyan shillings. I have taken a mortgage right now. It is deducted from my salary. My net salary is below 90,000. I live on 90,000. That's a commercial loan I have taken. I could choose to do something with it, rent it, or do other things. On the issue about food and five-star hotel, please remember the taxpayer does not pay for me the food that I eat there. If I ask for it, if I want it to be 10-star, that's because I can pay it. The same way I can go to Intercon and say, this is the food that I want, and I tell the person there, make it like this, and I pay it. There is no single free meal or freebie that I get as a member of Parliament. The only thing I'm saying, if I'm going to pay for it, please make it quality. So if we demand 5-star, it's because I want to pay for 5-star.
I'm just wondering, might you later on ask for a meal allowance? But before we go there, so what is the status of these? Are they proposals or are they frameworks?
And that's the point, that all this headline is so much ado about nothing. Somebody went there and fished for a story that could sell. There is nothing that has happened in recent date that has occasioned for this to happen.
What I'm asking
These are things that have always been there.
You all want housing allowance, and
the Constitution says everybody is entitled to it. It's not that we want.
Let me just conclude the question so that we can respond. You want a housing allowance. You want quality meals at Parliament. So where is this plan?
Can we pay for it?
Yes, and you'll pay for it. So how far are you?
Actually, 590 per meal is more expensive than a restaurant outside.
No, the question is, how far is this?
How far? These are just improvement standards by the committee.
It is not new.
It's not new. It's just to improve the services to members because of our numbers and the sheer size of Parliament.
That's what I'm asking. Will it require any okaying from Salaries and Remuneration Commission?
No, that is the welfare. Article 127 of the Constitution gives Parliamentary Service Commission that power.
It's parliamentary.
So it is
to deal with welfare and improvement. We don't need a law. We don't need a motion. We're just saying these facilities are there. They are below standards. You walk to a toilet and it's not clean. You're just saying make it clean. It's about standards.
So finally, how have all these, you sound like you've been going through some terrible time being legislators in this country, but how has this affected your delivery so that we say that Parliament would have done better if they had these facilities?
I think, let me give you an example. You come to my office. I share my desk with my PA. How will you talk to me in confidence? I have to chase my PA out for you to talk to me. Where is the confidentiality? When you come to the issue of accommodation, do you know actually when you travel with our PAs and bodyguards, we have to pay,
and the drivers,
and the drivers. We pay from our pockets. We are not facilitated at all. We know when you look at members of Parliament, some of them have to actually operate from their cars because they have no offices. That's the truth. Actually, it's the staff in Parliament live better lives than members of Parliament.
We'll come to that, Senator, because there's a caller, and I would like for us to take him. This is John. John, you're calling in from Mombasa. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you. How are you?
I am fantastic. Please, what's your question or your comment into the conversation?
My question number one is, I'm asking these members of Parliament. Now, they're crying like babies in the media. How about the Kenyans who don't have even a shilling just to own a 2,000 house? I mean, they get problems in paying just a 2,000 shillings. Again, these members of Parliament, were they poor when they were coming to be members of Parliament? Were they not aware of all those things that are happening in the country that then they just come and start raising their house allowances and bringing issues to do with the money? I'm trying to imagine that most of these members somehow got good money to buy their own houses. I mean, are they serving us or we are serving them? Why do they need houses? They are not all that poor. I can only remember there is one member of Parliament who was a bit poor. He didn't have a car, and the president bought him a car. Now, Uganda, all these other members, I can see. I mean, no blind cannot see these members are very. I mean, they're somehow rich. At least they earn $1 million, and some of them before they came to be members of Parliament, they own something. They have houses. They have rental houses. They have big businesses. And yet now again, they need money. I mean, they want to reap all that we have.
All right. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, John. But sorry, clearly you can hear the concerns that Kenyans feel. I mean, these are real issues that they struggle with. I'm sure you responded to a bit of it earlier on. I just want us to focus on something that is happening in the north. That
Sam, it's fair. Let's just respond. 1 minute. No, 1 minute. It's wrong to assume that members of Parliament are rich. We are not rich. We actually come to Parliament to serve. Look at Cherargei. He's a young man.
Do they truly come to Parliament to serve?
That's the truth.
Because you're employed by Kenyans.
When you say that we have rental houses, we have cars, by the time actually you finish your campaign, the car is done completely. So some of this, we are minority, we accept. We are only 418. Yes. So we will be outshadowed, we'll be shouted down because people think we are in a position of privilege. When you see us on TV, it's not equal to money. Yes. We struggle a lot. We are the same people who every time people are asking us for Harambes, for what, and we are getting it from the same salary. There is a nexus between that and corruption because the demands are very high.
You understand the frustrations that Kenyans are going through.
We do. For sure we do. That's why every day, look at the motions we bring to Parliament. Look at the Bs. Look at our records on Hansard. We are some of the best public defenders.
You talked about sharing your offices with your PAs.
And even using money to demarcate it.
And so forth. Is that why there's a new building opposite KCC that is under construction? Okay, right now it has stopped construction, but was under construction for the better part of last year. Will those be your new offices? Is that why?
Yeah, so that they can feed the numbers. Because by the time we moved from 210 to 418, there was not enough time. In fact, like for me, I stay at KICC because that is not Parliament. They have had to rent from KICC. Yes. We have offices that don't even have internet. That's why you send me a document, I take forever. These are basic things.